Hello and welcome. My name is Nick Zabensky and this is my program. This is made in OpenFrameworks, which makes it a lot easier, and it's basically testing out some different features, how you can call things to the stage, or what you say. As you can see here, I have it in the OpenFrameworks empty example, and I'm using the draw function for the most parts, and I have some variables in here. I'll start by saying the variables with the x value, y value, the height, the width, the radius, I mean the colors red, green, blue, x1, i1, y1, x2, y2, the radius, the line width, and rotate. And then I have the function called of_image myImage, which allows me to import images. As you can see here in my draw, I have fstream files which allow me to use files, and in this case I'm using this file here. I'm using the data file here. As you can see here, I have all the numbers and the names here. I can show you in a bit. Maybe I should just present the program here. When I run it, you can see a lot of different objects, 10 different to be exact. I have the background, I have a rectangle, a triangle, another rectangle which is filled, a circle, a sphere, and an ellipse with different colors and positions, another triangle which is filled, and then two pictures, one of which is rotated. So I've used some different functions within if statements, and it's in a big do loop, which is only active if it's not in the file, so it keeps running until it reaches the end of file. As I said, I use fstream in order to import from another file, which was the data. Then I have file open off to patch to data patch path, which is the name, as you can see here, data.txt. That's what it is. Then you have an if statement saying if the file is not open, then it should just see out error. Then here comes the dual. I take input to the file. A data type is input into the file, as you can see here. I have my string data type, and I have a string image path. The data type is to acknowledge what is in the file, so it says background, rectangle, image, Gengar, triangle, image Pokemons, rectangle, and so on. So it detects what's the first string it sees in the file, and then I put the input from the file x, y, which is x position, y position, height, width, red, green, blue colors, which in the text file is here, as in with the rectangle. You have the rectangle, which is the x position is 100, the y position is 100, the height is 400, and the width is 200, and then you have the red, green, blue colors, which allows it to be the color it is. And this no fill 7 means that it will not be filled, and the line width is 7. And it says here, as you can see, it's only around this one, so it's only the rectangle who has no fill in it, which I'll get to later. And the triangle is the same thing, much like the rectangle. You have the x and y positions, but you have 3 points, so you have x, y, x1, y1, and x2, y2, and then again the red, green, blue colors. And then below this you have offset color, which sets the colors RGB, and then off rectangle, which is a function in offset colors, also a function in OpenFrameworks, which allows you to say x, y, so x position, y position, width, and height. And here we have the same idea. Input from the file, we get all the information, and then we put it off triangle, and then put it in x, y, x1, y2. Then you have the no fill data type, which is, as you can see here, no fill. That means that if it says no fill, it should not fill in what is for the next thing. So if it says no fill for this rectangle here only, because it says fill afterwards. So no fill just says takes the input line width, which was 7, as you can see here, line width 7, and then you have the offset line width to line with my variable in here, which is where is it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, line width right here. It's an integer. And then you have this is a function in our OpenFrameworks that I use. Then if it's just fill, it just goes off fill, which is another function opposite to the no fill, obviously, where it fills it. Then you have the circle, which is very similar. You have the X position, Y position, then the radius, how big you want it, and then you have the RGB colors. Then you have below that you have the background, which is what you see in the background. It was orange, and that's just the colors, because you don't really change anything, and you say off background RGB. Then you have the image, which is always 255 on RG and B, else the colors will be different on the picture or on the image. And then it takes file the image path, which is the path you see up here. Like where is it at? It's in data. It's in this folder called data. And then of course the names, which fit with what we have in here, which is Pokemons.jpg and Gengar.jpg. And then you set the off colors to RGB. And here you can see I have a rotate, which is a function. As you can see down here, it takes in the rotate. So you can see here it says 1 in the end of this. After image Gengar it says 1. The 1 is how many times do you want to rotate it. And the way I do it is with this rotate 90, because that's the only function I could actually get that actually rotated my image properly. So I had another way of doing it, which was that's not it. I had another way of rotating it, but that just rotated everything in my program, so I didn't really know what to do. So I just rotated it 90 degrees. So as it says here, it's not the best way of doing it, but I couldn't get it to work otherwise. Here is another way of rescaling, because I rescale my photos. I chose to do it this way instead, though, because if I say my image, the width divided by the width and the height divided by the height, that will mean that my picture will be the ratio will not change, so it will not be stretched in any direction. And then you draw the image with the X and Y position. Then that's the sphere. Again, very similar to the others. You put in from the file, you take in X, Y, radius, RGB, which is just the way it says here, the numbers in the dedicated row. And then you take the ellipse, X, Y, H, W, RGB. So it all kind of makes sense. Then you have, of course, it all runs until in the file is reached. Yeah, I think that's about it.